So everybody wants a well-lit, climate-controlled, beautiful indoor garden in their home. But do you have enough power for that? And how much is it going to cost to run this garden? And if you don't have the power, how are you going to add more? In this video, we're going to be talking about all that. Oh, bro. Wait, aren't you just like some gardener on YouTube? Or what do you know about electricity? Well, yeah, I was once a professional gardener, but now I am a licensed master electrician here in the state of Illinois. Now, with that said, let's dive right in. As you may know, the technology behind lighting, and especially grow lighting, has evolved dramatically over the last decade. And because of these improvements, the power requirements for an indoor garden have been brought down to much more comfortable levels. The high-pressure sodium and metal halide lights of the past were so inefficient, about 80% of their consumed energy was used to create heat, while only 20% of the energy it used was actually creating light. Modern LED lights have flipped that ratio around, now using 80% or more of the energy consumption creating light. And because the lights generate less heat, you also enjoy less cost in cooling and venting your space. So that means from here on out, I'm only going to be talking about LED lighting since that's the only acceptable form of lighting at this point. Sorry, I know that's going to offend some people. Two popular configurations for an indoor garden are the 4-foot by 4-foot tent and the 4-foot by 8-foot, which is what you see in our videos. Okay, let's do a quick Google search for grow tent kits, and then we'll take a look at what kind of power they need. Okay, VivoSun 4x8, that looks cool. All right. Ooh, and here's an AC Infinity 4x4, very nice. The 4x4 comes with a 400 watt light, a 6-inch inline exhaust fan, and a controller for environmental control. Plus, we added a couple clip-on fans. When added all together, the total power consumption of this complete setup is about 457 watts. However, according to the National Electric Code, if you have any electrical load that is run for more than 3 hours continuously, you need to adjust that up 25%. So basically now this garden is a 571 watt garden. The 4x8 kit by VivoSun is equipped with 4 200 watt lights, an 8-inch inline duct fan, and a controller. We're going to go ahead and add 2 clip-on fans from the VivoSun website and a tower fan to this because honestly, this kit is inadequate the way it comes. Add it all up and that comes to a total of 957 watts or 1190 when properly adjusted. Now with this total wattage, we can then divide that number by our voltage, 120 in our case. Oh, well hold on. I thought I was supposed to use like 240 volts for all this stuff or something. Nope, that's not the case. Larger indoor gardens with many lights can see the benefit from having higher voltage lighting circuits. And we'll be talking about that later. However, small gardens will see no noticeable difference in energy cost. So we take the wattage, divide it by our voltage, and now we have amps. This is now the final number we need to properly determine our electrical requirements. The 4x8 tent uses 9.9 amps, while the 4x4 uses only 4.7 amps. Considering that your standard bedroom circuit has wire and a breaker rated to carry up to 15 amps, you can basically plug a 4x4 tent into any outlet in the house. The 4x8 tent, on the other hand, is a slightly different story. Yes, it's true that a standard 15 amp circuit can power a 10 amp grow tent. However, that leaves very little room for any add-ons like pumps, side lighting, or perhaps a small space heater. Also, not to mention, if that circuit is being used by anything else, it is possible that breaker will trip, leaving your garden dark. Whoa! Are you saying that this 4x8 tent only uses 957 watts to run, and then if I had the lights on for 18 hours a day, I take the product of those two numbers, divide it by 1,000, and then multiply that by my standard utility rate to get $2.75 a day to run? Yes, that's actually correct. The total cost here in Illinois to run this garden is only about $2.75 per day. You can figure out your electrical utility rate by taking the total cost of your bill, then dividing that by your total usage. This will give you the actual price you pay, including taxes and fees. And for us, that comes to 16 cents per kilowatt hour. Now let's get back to those 10 amps. Here in our basement, we have a pre-existing 20 amp circuit. However, there are other appliances using that circuit. So what did we do? We added an additional 20 amp circuit directly into our garden. This circuit goes from the panel to a timer and finishes with a quad style outlet box mounted here to the ceiling of our tent. This box will be used for anything that requires a timer, such as lights and maybe a couple fans. Everything else can be plugged into this power strip here on the floor, which runs outside the tent to that pre-existing circuit we mentioned earlier. Now I'm going to show you exactly how I added that circuit into this garden, but first, a quick disclaimer. Warning. This is educational information intended for students, apprentices, and licensed electricians. Do not ever attempt, ever, for any reason. Ever. I chose to install a 20 amp circuit in this garden. The material did cost a little bit more, but I felt it was just worth it in the end. So let's start with the breaker. This sub-panel accepts only Square D brand QO style breakers, so that's what we installed. You can check your breakers for brand or model number, or just compare them to these standard breakers we'll show here. After the breaker, you'll need some wire. For a 20 amp circuit, 12 gauge wire is standard. Do not use 14 gauge. That would be a fire risk. Technically, you could use 10 gauge wire, but it's a lot more expensive and not necessary for wire runs under 120 feet. Next, we just need a plan for getting power from the panel to the garden. Considering the grow tent is a temporary structure with soft walls, you don't need to install conduit or even Romex. Realistically, your goal is just to create a high quality extension cord. That's it. And for this, SO cable is the perfect choice. SO cable is made of many thin wires, allowing it to bend easily without breaking. We bought this 12-3 SO cable from Home Depot, so it's pretty easy to find. We connected the green wire to the ground bar, the white wire to the neutral bar, and the black wire gets connected right to the breaker. Please note that this is a sub panel we are working with, so the ground and the neutral bars are separate. If this was our main panel, the grounds and the neutrals are connected to the same bar. We turn on the breaker, which sends power to our timer, which controls the outlet box. And because we mounted this box to the ceiling, the cords from the light don't need to hang down. Going up from there, if you're planning on building a large commercial style grow, as I said earlier, it is a good idea to run your lighting circuits in higher voltages, such as 240, 277, or 480. The benefit of this is really only seen during the construction stage, because higher voltages mean lower amps, which means less wire. Yep, that's it, less wire needed for higher voltages. There are some minute efficiency gains when you run LED drivers in higher voltages. However, the cost savings you'll see are, like I said, minute. Now, we've covered quite a bit of information in this video, but I'm sure there's still going to be some questions. There is a comment section below. Feel free to ask any questions you have there, and we will get back to you with the best answer we can. But until then, never stop growing.